Hey folks, it's Richard Rost from ComputerLearningZone.com. It's time for another video rewind, a quick recap of the videos that I released last month. For a while I was doing this weekly, but weekly's too much. I can't do weekly. So we're going to do it once a month, and I have a couple from January that I still have to cover. But moving forward, this is going to be done monthly. Now, if you like these video rewinds and you find them helpful, post a comment down below or at least like this video so I know that you're enjoying it, and I'll keep making them. We learned how to display images from the web right in our Access forms and reports. We learned how to display zodiac signs and symbols. You know, these guys right here, right? The little symbols, right? Based on a person's birth date, it'll show you what their zodiac sign is. We did a lot more work with the association database that I started in January. This is a database that I'm building from the ground up so you can see how a professional builds databases from scratch. An association is any kind of organization like a church, an educational institution, a social club, and more. So if you want to see how I would build a database from scratch, go start with part 1 and work your way up. So in part 2, we continued the basic build, and in part 2, we do layout of the forms for the database. In part 3, we'll continue working with the tables and forms. In part 4, we'll work on the person form, the family form, a head of family combo box. In part 5, we'll make a family member list, an add family member form, all kinds of different stuff. Part 6 is where we build the helper form, one of my favorites. Instead of having a million little tiny tables to store things like gender or states or things like that, you put them all in one table called the helper table. Part 7, we continue with the helper stuff. We make combo boxes to pick specific pieces of information for your forms. In part 8, we make little subforms so you can switch between like contacts, demographics, and stuff without ever having to leave the customer form, the person form. In part 9, we're going to switch families over to groups. So a family can be anything. It could be a company. It could be another organization. We make it more generic and more user-friendly. In part 10, we make a multi-level group form. So in part 9, you can open up a person's record and see what groups they're in. In part 10, we're going to go the other way, open up a group and see what people are in it. We're going to use multiple nested continuous forms. That's really cool. We learned how to quickly change the data source of a query. So if you want to change it from customer T to like person T, you can easily go into your query and make that change without having to rebuild the whole query. This one's a really cool trick. I show you how to do math in a text box field, just like in Excel. You know, you can type in Excel, you can type in like equals 10 plus 5, and Excel will do the math for you. Access can't do that, but I'll show you how to make it do that. See, we'll type in like right here, 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. It'll pop in 20 and save that value. If you do any kind of accounting in Access like I do all the time, this is very, very handy. I'll show you how to group specific contacts on top of a report. Like right here, you want James Kirk and me on top of the report and then everybody else? Well, we'll do that. I'll show you what to check if your continuous forms aren't working. If you build a continuous form and you can't figure out why it's not working. If it looks like that, then I'll show you how to fix it. We'll learn how to import objects from another Access database. Little Excel fun. I'll show you how to use the text split function in Excel to split data into separate cells. So if you got an address like that, for example, you can split it out into address, city, state, zip, and so on. And then, like I always do when I show you something cool in Excel, I show you how to do the same thing in Access. So we'll do a split function in Access. Same thing, got an address, well, there's city, state, zip, right? Using the split function. I'll show you the best way to store IP addresses in your Access table in case that's something that you got to do. I'll show you how to have them properly sort numerically or alphabetically, whichever you prefer. I brought back quick queries, which I haven't done one of these in a while. This is where I take a whole bunch of like short questions that people have sent me that don't really merit a whole video on their own, and I put them together and we got a quick queries. And here's all the topics covered in this one. You can just read. I'm not going to read them all to you. I'll show you how to use conditional formatting to see if a value has changed from the previous record. Yeah, this is a weird request, but basically you got a group ID here, right? If it goes 1, 1, 1, you want to see when it changes. So now it changed to 2. It changed right away to 3. Then you got a bunch of 3s. There's a 4. See how that works? That's kind of neat, right? Did a whole video talking about why you shouldn't use the first and last functions. Instead, stick to max and min, and this video explains why. I'll show you how to find duplicates and delete them. We'll learn how to change the sort of a combo box on the fly. So here you got a combo box sorted first name, then last name, right? And we'll make two little buttons over here, little labels. You click on them, and then you can sort it last name, first name. See that? Pretty cool, huh? We'll see how to do multiple joins from the same table multiple times. So for example, let's say each customer has a sales rep, a service tech, maybe an instructor. Those are all from your employee table, right? So I'll show you how to do that. Same table, multiple joins from it. We'll learn how to do an alias in an Access query and why you'd want to. I'll show you how to calculate the max value from multiple fields. Access has functions for doing max values across a single field from multiple records, but what about multiple fields from the same record, like test 1, test 2, test 3, and so on? I will show you a proper relational method for having multiple yes/no fields, checkboxes, for a single record. For example, on your customer, you've got a bunch of yes/no fields, right? Checkboxes, is active, is customer, is prospect, is on the waiting list, and so on. Well, that's not a good relational setup. If you got 20, 30 of them, then that's bad. So I'll show you how to do it in a subform with a properly relational setup with a second table. This one's by popular demand. I'll show you how to make a column in a list box right align. Right, just like in Excel. So we got a currency value over here, and we've got it right aligned inside that column. This one's a problem I personally had. I'll show you how to deal with weird characters in file names. I downloaded a file that I got from YouTube with my membership list in it, and there was a weird character in there, and my database couldn't read it. So I'll show you how I dealt with it. We'll learn how to lock a specific field once a value is typed into it. So they type in a credit limit, boom, it's locked. You'll need the manager to override it to change it. We'll learn how to work with colors in VBA. And finally, this isn't a video, but I got the Microsoft MVP award for the 3rd time this month, so I'm very happy about that. So that's all for February. Now, it's currently March 15th, and I've already released a bunch of new videos for March, so check them out on my website. And I will cover those videos in detail in the March video rewind. So if you enjoy this rewind, let me know. Post a comment down below, or at least like this video. And that will be your video rewind for February 2023. Live long and prosper, and I'll see you next time.